Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix. I'm your host, Glenn Jones of NBC Boston, and I'm delighted to be here in the Adrenaline Lounge right on the edge of the spectacular Bermuda race course where we will see our 10 teams do battle this weekend. So let's get started by welcoming the athletes. First up, Peter Burling of the Black Foils. He's in pretty good shape, sitting atop the leaderboard. Season 3 winner here in Bermuda, Tom Slingsby of Australia. Fresh from a podium finish in Christchurch, Canada's Phil Robertson. Quentin Delapierre of France, who had a podium finish in New Zealand. Germany's SailGP team's Eric Heil. Two-time Olympic gold medalist Giles Scott of Emirates, Great Britain. Fellow Olympic medalist Nathan Otteridge of Switzerland. Nikolai Seested of the Rockwell, Denmark team. Diego Botin of Spain. And last but not least, USA's Taylor Canfield. A round of applause, please, for the athletes. Before we get started with today's press conference, it's my pleasure to welcome two people I know very well. The Minister of Tourism, Culture, and Sport, Senator the Honorable Owen Darrow, and he's accompanied by Bermuda Tourism Authority's Director of Global Business Development and Partnerships, Hazel Clark.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Jones. I'm delighted to be here with you today at SailGP. SailGP truly embodies the essence of connectivity. It takes Bermuda to the world and brings the world to Bermuda. Through extensive television and social media coverage, the stunning beauty of our island is broadcast to millions across the world. This exposure not only showcases Bermuda's breathtaking landscapes, but also acts as a compelling invitation for visitors to discover the wonders of our shores. Moreover, SailGP serves as a platform to showcase Bermuda's rich hospitality and a vibrant culture. Whether it's the German team enjoying a meal on Front Street last night, or the Australian team playing golf at Port Royal Golf Course. A course that I played many years ago with Tom while he was here for the America's Cup. This event brings together representatives from 10 diverse countries, spanning Europe, North America, and Australasia. It's a unique opportunity for them to immerse themselves in our unique culture and experience our warm hospitality firsthand. Last year, we witnessed the fantastic initiative of running sail classes for kids, bringing world athletes to Bermuda, and the benefit of our youth. And I see numerous young people here this morning. The essence, again, of SailGP is not just a sporting event. It's a celebration of the harmony and the blend of tourism, culture, and sport. It's about sharing the essence of Bermuda with the world while welcoming the world to experience our island's treasures firsthand. Thank you.
And very quickly, on behalf of the Bermuda Tourism Authority, I just want to express how proud we are to host another global sports event in Bermuda. We've had a very busy week, and we thank all of our volunteers, our community. We're so proud to have these world-class athletes here, and the community impact cannot be denied, as the minister just expressed. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're proud, again, to be leading sports tourism in Bermuda, such a small destination that's able to do great things, thanks to this amazing community.
Well, thank you for those very kind words, and we're absolutely delighted to be back here on this beautiful island once again for the Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix. We're looking forward to some fantastic racing this weekend, and I must say, from our perspective, the league's been going from strength to strength, and we're really looking forward to bringing a the event even closer to the fans this weekend, where we staged the main event stadium on Morgan's Point. And I think that's going to be a completely different experience for those that have seen some of our previous events here in Bermuda. Of course, all of this wouldn't be possible without the fantastic support from the Bermuda Tourism Authority and the government, and of course the Apex Group. And I want to take this moment to thank you for supporting us here and allowing us to put on this amazing event. So this weekend we've got a great forecast ahead of us, some really exciting racing to look forward to tomorrow and Sunday. So I wish all the competitors all the best and expect some great racing. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sir Russell. I got the chance to speak with Sir Russell before this started, and he has been raving about the spectator experience at the race stadium. So if you've experienced racing in Bermuda before, in Dockyard, that was fantastic. He says this is a level above that, so really consider coming out to the race stadium this weekend. All right, let's get started. This is the third consecutive season that SailGP has held an event in Bermuda, but this time with 10 teams competing on the water, so this will be the biggest. On Saturday, remember that after the racing, the excitement continues with Kess the Band. They'll be serving vibes at a Sail after party, so it's really shaping up to be a fantastic weekend. Let's now talk to the athletes, because I'm sure all of you here would like to know what they are thinking heading into this race weekend. And they're pretty tough guys, so I've got some tough questions for them. Let's see how they fare. Let's start with Peter Burling. The last racing, of course, was in New Zealand. The Black Foils came out on top in front of record crowds. There were also huge crashes, a big leaderboard shakeup. So, Peter, now that you are on top of the leaderboard, there is some distance between you and Tom Slingsby, but part of the reason for that gap is the 8-point penalty. So, how earned is the lead that you have right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at our season, if you look back at Saint-Tropez, I don't think any of you would have thought that we'd be on top of the leaderboard right now. It's definitely been a very dynamic season for us, with obviously that massive wing failure in Saint-Tropez pushing us from, having a good shot at winning that event down to 8th, then obviously missing the event after. I think it shows the resilience of our team to be able to keep in the fight, keep pushing forward. And obviously the penalty points in SailGP are ridiculously harsh for crashing, but the policy's pretty set. We've been pinged by it a couple of times the season before, and don't want to see that upon anyone, but we really feel like we deserve to be here.
Is the policy fair?
It's not really my decision. The policy is the policy. I think it's very harsh, but it's very clear in terms of what the penalties are for when you have these kinds of incidents. And you saw some big penalty points, not just for the Australians, but for the British and the Danish as well in New Zealand. And it's something that everyone's trying their utmost to keep these boats apart when we're out there racing.
So, Tom, you were most recently dinged by that policy. How are you feeling about it?
It's very harsh. I understand that the league wants to keep the boats apart, and so by imposing harsh penalty points, that's how they sort of intend to do it. I think I put out on social media my thoughts on it. We disagree with the amount of penalty points. We think we should have got a couple of penalty points, but not the most in SailGP history. We don't think what we did was reckless sailing. So everyone's going to have a different opinion, and we feel it was harsh, but we're just going to move on and try to get a good result here.
And the condition of your boat?
The boat is in great shape, and just a huge thank you to all the people who've put in a lot of time and effort getting our boat back. It would have been very easy for SailGP and the tech team and the boat builders to say it can't be done for Bermuda and they have to come back for Halifax, but everyone put in a lot of work and a lot of man hours to make sure that we're here. So a huge thank you to SailGP tech team and all the boat builders and everyone who was involved in getting us back on the water.
So New Zealand, Australia are 1-2 on the leaderboard right now. I'm told Tom Slingsby has only won this season when you were not driving. So are you feeling pretty confident about this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's been no secret that we love the rivalry with the Australians, but you know, there's quite a lot of other incredible teams here as well, and everyone really seems to be stepping up their game. You know, the level of the racing in Christchurch was super tight. You had to get a super low score on the board to actually get through to the final. So, you know, we're under no illusions. We've got to put together a good weekend again here to make that final, and you know, that's the goal. You know, you've got to get into the final to have a shot at winning the event.
Okay, let's go to Diego next, because Spain is in third place and only 4 points behind Australia. So Diego, what's your strategy? What would be a reasonable expectation for you on the leaderboard after this weekend?
I think we just need to keep doing what we've been doing until now. Try to grow as fast as we can, and yeah, obviously keep those penalty points away and be consistent. Focus on the process, and this is what got us to the position we are now. And I believe that if we can keep doing that, we will be able to keep growing, and yeah, we will see how it ends up.
All right, we talked a bit about the crash in New Zealand. It did get a lot of attention. Let's ask Phil Robertson of Canada. You had a good look at what was happening on the water. What did you see? And do you think it was possible for Tom to avoid hitting that mark?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely getting close to the racing, and everyone's pushing pretty hard. And, you know, I think there's, for sure, you look back at it, and I'm sure he's looked back at it and seen ways to get out of it and ways to avoid the situation. But, look, we're pushing these boats hard, and I don't think it's going to be the last time someone's going to crash.
All right, let's talk then about... Let me ask Nikolai next. Forgive me. You were docked 8 event points and 4 season points for the major damage to your F50. Some have said it was a reckless start. Can you explain why your turn was so aggressive?
Oh, I think the aggressive turn was more to avoid the collision once we realized that Canada was there. But yeah, I think everyone talked about it. It's just getting closer and closer. But I think a lot of it's also, for our sake, was just not ideal preparation as a team. I think we didn't get any racing on Saturday. We didn't get a good warm-up. It was just straight into racing with all these ones trying to win the races. And I think if you put a Formula 1 car on the start grid without any warm-up laps, I'm pretty sure you're going to have an issue in the first corner. And I think that's what you're seeing in New Zealand as well for all these teams.
And Giles, Hannah Mills had to step off the boat with an injury. How is she doing? And what are your thoughts heading into this weekend?
Yeah, Hannah's doing fine. She picked up a bit of a knee injury on the Friday, but she was back on board for racing over the weekend. But yeah, we also had our fair share of dings in Christchurch and picked up penalty points as well, which clearly isn't ideal. And yeah, I think we've certainly done a big review of that internally and what we can do differently to make sure that doesn't happen again. And yeah, we're very much looking forward to getting racing here in Bermuda. It's certainly, for me personally, very exciting to be back here on this beautiful island.
Phil, let's go back to you for a moment, because with the 10 boats out there, it does seem like you have a high percentage of getting into the middle of the trouble. Is that a fair assessment?
I guess if you look at the first 40 seconds of Christchurch, it's probably a fairly fair assessment. Seemed like we had a magnet on us that first period, and I think we got hit by 3 boats, and we're in the right in all those situations. So I don't know, I guess we should ask the question to the drivers that hit us.
Okay, well, let's do that. Anybody want to speak to what Phil just said? Phil, who almost hit you?
No, we got hit by 3 boats.
Okay. Which 3?
Go and watch the footage.
All right. Okay. So all of the point deductions in New Zealand obviously had a huge impact on the leaderboard, and ultimately everybody wants to be in position for San Francisco at the end of the season to compete for that $2 million grand prize in the championship race. So, Quentin, based on where France is, are your sights set on being in that championship race at the end of the season?
Yeah, it's a good comeback, I would say. We were kind of nowhere 6 months before, and yeah, super happy where we are now. I think the dynamic of the team is going well. Christchurch was an unbelievable Grand Prix for us. The final against Canada and New Zealand was really tight, and as you saw in the first leeward gate, we were like in 30 meters. So yeah, just focusing on getting this final, but I think Pete Burling just took this right spot on the start, and it was in front, and after that just controlling the final. So yeah, I mean, New Zealand is in good shape. All these teams try to beat them now, and we'll see here in Bermuda.
What has changed over the course of that time where you did improve so greatly over the last few months?
Stopping big mistakes, or stupid mistakes, I would say. It's all about that. Those guys are the very best, and if you do a pinch-off mistake, you just pay it directly. At the beginning of the season, I was not really at the level I wish, and now with the team, I think we are quite consistent, really tight from the final, and in Christchurch we just passed the cut. It was a good feeling on board, and I'm pretty sure that it will be going pretty well for the rest of the season.
Okay, Nikolai, you haven't won an event yet, but you're right in the thick of it here. What are your thoughts heading into this weekend? Do you feel like you have a shot to be on the podium?
Yeah, I think we proved many times this season that we can be on the podium. We obviously haven't put the final together and get that win. But you know, I think this weekend we're just going to go back to our normal sort of start of racing, a little bit less aggressive, just a bit more consistent and staying out of trouble. Christchurch was our first crash in our history in SailGP, so it's not normally something we do, but so we just got to get back to, I think, just keep our head down and sail the boat simple and fast, and then I think we have a good chance of being on the podium.
Taylor, the Americans have changed coaches ahead of this event. Can you walk us through that decision?
Yeah, we've actually made a few changes with our team moving into this event, and yeah, we're excited. It's all great progress, and you know, we still have a pretty uphill battle to match the days that a lot of the teams have in these boats. You know, having some of the guys with Cup experience here in Bermuda many years ago. So great new coach Evan Harris, and we also have another change into our flight control role, Mac Agnese. So. Yeah, we're finding our stride, and with the lack of practice days this season, it's been tough. But every minute we have on the water has been great, and yesterday out on the Great Sound was incredible, and yeah, it feels like Evan has stepped into this really difficult role and is taking it with stride.
What was not working?
Nothing wasn't working. We're actually making great progress throughout the whole season, and to get on the podium in our second event as a team was great, and to be finishing in the top 3 in a bunch of races is for our 4 days foiling as a team together so far is pretty good, I think. So, but yeah, it's just about looking for that consistency, and we were struck by some of the U.S. Olympic trials going on, so we were having a lot of changes in personnel and changes on board, and now I think we're finally settling into this more permanent crew, and I only expect up from here.
Okay, thank you. Eric, we've heard Taylor and Quentin talk a little bit about making some changes, finding some progress. Explain that part of the journey for your team.
Yeah, I mean, we have many tasks to work on right now, and we were lucky last event that so many teams were crashing, that we were a little further up on the leaderboard, but we were still very bad at starts, and we worked quite hard to develop this for this event. And yeah, I think the amount of days you have on the water is the biggest challenge for most of the new teams, so we just use every minute we can.
Nathan, of course, you have tremendous experience in these waters. How are you feeling going into this weekend, especially because there's so many points you need to make up with only a few more race weekends in the season?
Yeah, I was wondering if you want to come to me. I guess I got to do some crashing to get at the front of the press conference. Firstly, it's just awesome to be back in Bermuda. I lived here for over 2 years, and I think anyone who's ever been to Bermuda knows it's an amazing island with amazing sailing conditions. And, you know, it marks 2 years for the Swiss team now. They started their journey here 2 years ago, and they spent over a month here sailing and getting ready for the event. So the team's very excited to be back on the island. For me personally, it's great to be back here in Bermuda. And as Russell was saying, the weather looks great this weekend. Nice and close to Morgan's Point, and we should have some really good racing. So looking forward to getting out there and staying out of trouble.
All right, thank you. Taylor, when we were talking about some of the changes to your team, there was also one addition with Lindsey Vonn. Can you just explain to people what her role is with the team now?
Yeah, Lindsay, obviously an incredible addition to the team. She has joined the board of directors, and you know, as such an iconic, you know, American athlete, but I would say, you know, athlete worldwide, is great to have someone with so much grit and experience and a high level of sport join our team and kind of help pave the pathway for us and show us, you know how she got to her best and what it took. You know, not only our dual partnerships with Red Bull, so we're looking on expanding those relationships, and yeah, you know, I think just overall, I think she's going to be a great addition to, you know, making sure that, you know, we're taking the necessary path to you know, continue to grow as a team and excel.
Diego, there are some strong rumors that 2 new teams with new owners will enter the league in season 5, but the league has confirmed that there will only be 11 boats available to start the season. So the league will presumably drop one of the 3 league-owned teams. Are you concerned by this, or are you confident your team will continue to be on the start line?
Yeah, I only knew about one trying to enter the league, but yeah, obviously the financial part is a huge part here to be able to stay in the league as a team. We are super focused on the performance side now as the season is finishing, but the team is also working very hard on achieving this financial, yeah, let's say, power, no? And it's doing really well. We have a group of investors that is willing to join the team and to go forward with us. And it's going to depend also on the other teams trying to join and on SailGP, no? So yeah, I think we are putting our best foot forward on that regard, and I'm very looking forward for the future.
Peter, can you help us understand what it's like racing with a lead? Are you being defensive or offensive when you're on the water?
Yeah, I think everyone here is being offensive, especially Phil, actually.
Thanks, mate.
But yeah, you know, it's incredibly tight out there. You know, I think with these boats, as soon as you get into too much of a defensive mindset, you really, the boat kind of gets on top of you, so you've got to be always in control, always, you know, pushing it around the racetrack, and you know, just the level of competitors in the room, the level everyone's getting to in SailGP now. If you're not pushing super hard, you're not going to be anywhere near the front. So yeah, I'm sure you'll see that again this weekend. Yeah, it's been funny looking back to the previous 2 events in Bermuda, you know, as everyone does, and their prep into these, and just the level that people are sailing at so much higher now than it ever has been. So, you know, we're all super excited to get out there racing again, and it's looking like Russell said, you know, an awesome forecast this weekend. We'll probably be on the high-speed configuration today, tomorrow, and then a little bit lighter on Sunday, so we have to wait and see. But yeah, it's going to be some exciting racing for sure.
Tom, for the fans, having 10 boats out there is so spectacularly exciting. After the crash with the Mark, do you feel like sometimes 10 is too many?
No, I don't. I think for sure we've all just got to keep learning and evolving. I think a few people put their hands up in Christchurch from the race management saying that we shouldn't have had the Mark there, and that was a mistake, and we apologise for that, and I applaud them for doing that. They didn't have to, and then we saw after our crash into the marks were taken off the course straight after. So it's one of those things where we're just constantly learning and evolving. I don't think that 10 is too many. I think we could probably go a couple more potentially. But it's a thing. More practice time you get, as Nikolai said before, that in Christchurch we just didn't get the time on the water, the practice, and then we all, like you said, an F1 analogy, we hit the start line with no practice, and we saw 3 crashes in 40 seconds. So if we get more practice, we can increase the number of boats and race effectively on the water. So it's always a battle, obviously, getting more extra training time, but I think in Christchurch we were pretty hampered by this.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. We'll open it up to some questions in the room now, if there are any. Why don't we start over here? The microphone will come your way, just so that we can hear you.
Good morning, all. Nathan, welcome back home. To the rest of you who have sailed here, welcome back home. And if it's your first time here, welcome to your new home. I'm Bush Badger from Bermuda Broadcasting Company. Lots of talk, Peter, about penalty points. I don't hear much talk about bonus points. And in my research, I haven't seen any. Is that an avenue that should be looked at? Maybe I should be directing this to Sir Russell.
Yeah, it probably is more Russell's question than mine, but yeah, well, I think our format's pretty cutthroat anyway, where you essentially race your first 5 races and then you have a shootout for the top 3 to win the championship. So the event. So you get a lot of opportunity to swing your points massively on a weekend. The racing's getting so tight now and the points are getting so tight that if you make one mistake, kind of like Quintan said, you really feel that at the end of the weekend. So you've got to be right on the top of your game and performing the whole way through. But yeah, it could be an exciting avenue to explore in the future if there's a way of getting some bonus points in there.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but break a leg and enjoy yourself.
Thanks, Matt.
Any other questions here in the room? I got one. Oh, I'll let you have this microphone.
Taylor, what advice would you give to a young sailor that wants to participate in SailGP F50 racing when they're older, preferably skippering?
Oh, I think she's coming for my job. I'm getting a little older. Yeah, you know, I think the one piece of advice is, you know, it's not all about, you know, going and sailing these high-speed boats all the time. You know, I do a lot of like slower boat sailing, and you know, I've been here to the IOD Gold Cup many times, or the Bermuda Gold Cup many times, and I try to say to sail as many different boats with as many different people as possible, and just try to expand your learning in the sport as much as you can. You know, the more boats you sail, the just more comfortable you're going to be in every situation on the water. So, yeah, get out there. Don't turn down an opportunity.
Thank you for the question. Any others? We'll bring a microphone to you guys.
Nathan, teamwork and communication are absolutely critical in this sport. Can you share some insights into how you build a strong collaboration and understanding amongst the new crew?
That's a fantastic question. You know, we're just the drivers of the 10 teams up here, but we wouldn't be able to do it without the other 5 people on the boat. So it's, as you say, all about the communication and the boat handling processes. And you see the top teams that perform are the ones that spend the most time together as a group. So they're already ahead on the communication. I could talk at length about this, but to quickly summarize it, it's about understanding, you know, the goals that you want to achieve on the boat, delegating the roles out within the boat, and giving everyone their voice for their own role. Often the communication comes from the back forward through the boat, decision making is normally made at the back because we have a better understanding of what's happening in the race, but a lot of the performance side of the boat comes from the middle of the boat, and they're not often mic'd up in the racing. So, the wing trimmer and the flight controller especially are very important to make these boats go fast. And one of the biggest changes in communication in SailGP is the coach's booth now has a live mic to the boat. So what you probably don't hear is whispers in our ears from the coaching booth telling us about wind shifts, telling us about other boats. They help guide us around the course so we don't crash into boats. So I think, when Giles referred to reviewing internal processes, it's probably a bit about how the coach who has the umpire app and has a bird's eye view of the race course can help too. So, yeah, as I said, there's 10 of us here today, but there's a lot more people over in Dockyard right now who are the heart and soul of these teams, and communication is about, getting everyone on the same page. And for me now, working with the Swiss team, most of them speak French, so that's been a big challenge for me. Getting everyone to come across to English to help me has been very helpful. And all these new teams are just trying to develop our own structure. And one cool thing about SailGP is you can listen to the onboards of every boat. And so you can learn from other teams week to week, which has been, really important for the young teams here.
Got another question here.
Taylor, what specific challenges have you faced while preparing for this SailGP event?
Oh, a lot of challenges, but I think again I mentioned we're up against some of the best sailors in the world, and a lot of these sailors have sailed these boats a lot more than we have. So we're just trying to pick apart every moment from on board our boat and also on board everyone else's boats, and we're just trying to dissect how we can climb or accelerate our learning as much as we can. Luckily with SailGP, we have this open data source where, we have access to all the data from all the different boats. So we've spent countless hours, looking through all the data in between events, and, while the team is at home and trying to get some quality time in, doing their own thing, we're trying to get on the phone, twice a week to make sure that we're, diligently, progressing our just learning throughout the entire season, not just while we're at these events.
Thank you. We do have time for maybe a couple more if there are. Here we go.
Good morning. Giles, this is a question for you. How do you, you stepped into the skipper role on this boat recently. Do you think that your time in the Finn class and the Olympic classes have prepared you well for this?
Yeah, I think it certainly has prepared me pretty well. I think my Olympic sailing is certainly the foundation of where I've come from through my journey through sailing, as well as Finn sailing. I've also done a lot in other high performance boats as well along the way. But yeah, I am pretty fresh into this team, as you say, and as Taylor's just been saying, it is a bit of a journey and a learning process. And one thing that all of us are up against here is time in these boats, and yeah, some have more than others, but we can't, from my point of view, it's not something to dwell on. We've got to step up and start moving up the leaderboard, and ultimately that's what we're trying to do.
Phil, there's one question I wanted to ask you that I failed to earlier. I had heard that the Canadian team is going to be sold. Is that true?
I have no comment on that.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good place to end. A round of applause, please, for the 10 athletes. And thanks to everyone in the room for joining us for the opening press conference. We'll ask the athletes to stick around, as well as the minister and Hazel Clark, for photos. And just a reminder for everybody else that racing gets underway this Saturday and Sunday just after 2 o'clock at Morgan's Point. Huge crowds in New Zealand, so Bermuda really does need to step up. There are tickets available, a limited amount, at sailgp.com/Bermuda. Thanks very much for being here.